Alright, let us start by talking about the French elections. Yeah, boy! So, in the US, obviously, these are the results of the French elections. In the US, obviously, in the most recent elections, you had Bernie Sanders, who was the anti-establishment left-wing candidate, sort of a social democrat. The Democratic Party did everything they could to make sure he didn't win the nomination. And then on the right, you had the anti-establishment, sort of populist demagogue, Donald Trump, who, of course, ended up winning the presidency. After 8 years of the neoliberal Obama, who promised to be different from the conservative Bush, but wasn't, destroyed Libya and Syria the same way Bush destroyed Iraq, blah, blah, blah. We know how neoliberals work, right? Neoliberals suck. They're basically the same as conservatives in policy. So Emmanuel Macron, the French president, has been in power since 2017. This guy's like the epitome of neoliberalism. This year, his program that he ran on, his campaign, was to make it harder to get welfare. He put more restrictions on welfare, and he wanted to increase the retirement age. So French citizens would be retiring later. That was basically his whole program. Then in second place, in a close second place, 23.1% of the vote, you have Marine Le Pen. And Marine Le Pen is a far-right winger. Right? Marine Le Pen is a sort of faux populist demagogue, not as anti-establishment as Trump. Le Pen's father was also a politician, a far-right politician in French politics, and Marine Le Pen has kind of taken over as the face of the far-right in France. But similar policies to Trump, anti-immigration, wanted to basically allow for police to use more brutal tactics with their own discretion, wanted to crack down on immigration, but also had these sort of populist policies about helping the French working class, helping the working class as long as it's the working class who was born in France. So there were ideas like reducing or getting rid of income tax for French natives under 30. What were some of the other ones? That was the only one I had written down. But there were these national sort of populist policies that Marine Le Pen was proposing, in addition to, screw the immigrants. Similar to Trump saying he's going to bring everyone's job back, and he's going to make life better for the workers. He's going to bring manufacturing back to the Rust Belt, and also, screw the immigrants. Similar sort of campaign message to Trump. And then in third place in the French elections, you have Mélenchon. Please don't make fun of me for trying to speak French. We're just going to call him Mélenchon. My Midwest accent is terrible today. Either way, this guy, the third place candidate, lefty, far left candidate, this is some stuff that he was proposing. Have French citizens give French citizens the power to suggest referendums, which is currently only a power that politicians have, and give them the power to remove politicians from office anytime they like. Decrease the voting age to 16. Offer free food and free education programs for students. Give $1,000 monthly payments to people who are students full time. That would have been insane in college, by the way. He wants to do paid civil service as opposed to military service. He wants to move to renewable energy. He wants to add extra tax brackets to increase taxes on the most wealthy. He wants to take manual labor jobs, or he wanted to take manual labor jobs from 35 hours a week to 32 hours a week, decreasing the work week based on what society needs, basically socialism. And that candidate got 22% of the vote. He almost won too. So what I want people to see is that neoliberalism, like what Macron has been enacting in France since 2017, leads to both left-wing and right-wing radicalism, left-wing and right-wing extremism. Right? During World War II in Russia, the Bolsheviks were able to take power. In Germany, the Socialist Party was also very powerful. Very, very, very powerful. The strongest communist party in the world was in Germany at the time. but they were killed and they were beaten by the fascists. They were beaten by Hitler and his National Socialists, his Nazis, saying, you know, everything's the Jews' fault and we're going to make the economy better for German citizens. Right? Similar to Trump, everything is the immigrants' fault. Le Pen, everything is the immigrants' fault, but we'll make things better for French citizens. Right? And then you have them battling it out with the left-wing candidates, the actual socialists, the people who actually divide society by class instead of race, and who actually understand that the capitalists are the ones controlling society, and those are the ones who need to be struggled against. They also gain power under neoliberalism because the conditions for the working class become so bad. The longer that capitalism plays out, and the longer that neoliberal capitalism plays out without putting in any safety net for the workers, the more workers are going to become extreme. And they can go to a Le Pen, or they can go to a left-wing candidate. They can go to a socialist. And this is why, you know, socialist organization is so important, and this is why it's so important to go to the workers. Oh, thanks. Look at that. I just got dinner delivered. Look how healthy this is, y'all. My room, this is communism for you right here. My roommate just cooked this up for me. We basically share food and meals and stuff in this house. Dang, that looks fire. I want to eat it now. But either way, the conditions of neoliberalism create, you know, workers want change. Workers are demanding change, and you know, they're susceptible to demagogues, far-right demagogues, like the Freedom Convoy protests in Canada were organized by right-wing groups, you know, extreme right-wing groups organizing based on the discontent that these workers had in Canada with the neoliberal Trudeau, with the neoliberal policies that allow for workers to be exploited. That led workers, you know, they were susceptible to these right-wing back protests. But then you had socialists saying, screw all the Freedom Convoy truckers. You know, screw every worker who's a part of the Freedom Convoy. They're against vaccines. We're against them. You know, we shouldn't go talk to those workers at all. These are right-wing protests. It's like, yeah, they're being organized by right-wingers, but the right-wingers, the bourgeoisie, are capitalizing off the actual discontent that workers have with capitalism. And if you don't go to those workers and raise the property question, meaning say, hey, do you realize, or explaining to them why their issues, why their discontent come from capitalism and come from capitalist exploitation, and organize them for socialism so they can't be organized by the right wing, then they're going to be organized by the right wing, right? And you can't just, when workers, you know, are susceptible to these right-wing demagogues, you can't just throw up your hands as a socialist and say, oh, well, I guess these workers are bad. I wish I had the same workers Marx had. It's like, you don't get to pick your working class. The working class is the working class. And regardless of what their politics are currently, we need to approach them and encourage them to go forward. Because we have the theory, we have the ideology, which is actually going to work in their interest. All right, these people like Trump, these people like Le Pen, they're liars, right? They've done a better job at creating anger and discontent and organizing the working class than socialists have done in the neoliberal countries and the Western democracies like France, the UK, and the US, and Canada. But they're liars. They haven't done anything for the working class. How much better did your life get under Donald Trump? He didn't bring back manufacturing to the Rust Belt. He didn't do anything for the working class, almost anything. So that's the advantage we have as socialists, is we can point out that these people are liars, that they do not actually care about the working class, and we actually do. But we're not going to be able to do that if we dismiss the working class as a bunch of politically backwards idiots who we don't even need to talk to. So that's the lesson I got from the French election. I'm going to eat some salad now.